At what point do you as a parent make that decision that you need help? And do you need help knowing when that point is? That's what we're going to talk about today. Hi, welcome to the Parenting Bridge podcast. I'm Dr. Michelle Alden, a licensed professional counselor, parent coach, and family therapist. And I'm here to help you to build a bridge to your best family possible. I talk to a lot of parents, and most of them say that they wish that they would have had help sooner. I have talked to parents of kids that are 9, 10, all the way up to almost 18, and sometimes kids that are even out of the home. I'll be talking with parents about how to handle those transitions as well. And most of the time when people find out the work that we do here at Healthy Foundations and the work that I do as a parent coach, they wish that they would have gotten help sooner. And so I thought, I wonder what it is that why it's not happening, like why people aren't reaching out for help sooner. And I think that there's a lot of really valid reasons for that. And I think that some of it is that as a parent, we feel like we should know. And I think too, when our kids are young, we might think they're going to outgrow it. Other people might be telling you like, oh, all kids do that. And you might be like really looking everywhere for resources and not being able to find them, especially if you're kind of stuck on that the resources have to be right where you are. And some of the other options may just seem like way out of the range, you know, but I think that the people that are really looking for those resources will find them. And I feel like that is a really big piece of it, when you just know that things aren't going right. And so instinctively you might feel like, well, I should know how to handle this, and I should know how to be a parent. And so I think there's kind of a feeling, you know, sometimes through those earlier years when they first start school or they first start getting diagnosed with ADHD, and start seeing some behavior stuff, which usually happens around the time they start school. Sometimes you see it in preschool. Sometimes if you're at home with your kids, you see it. If you've adopted kids, you're seeing it, you know, right away, and you're kind of expecting it. But I just want to encourage you to really think about the help that you might need as a parent. So I think that's the other thing that happens, is that we are really focused on the kids and what the kids are doing and what they need. And so I talk to parents that the kids have been in counseling since they were probably 4 years old, or you know, as soon as they came into care, or you know, whatever the case is, and yet the behaviors at home, the challenges that you're facing as a parent in dealing with this child, I think it's not that counseling won't ever help your child, it's just what are you going to be able to do with that at home? And some counselors do a really good job of integrating what they're teaching the kids, what the kids are learning with the parent. But I think it's still really hard to go and then try to do that at home when you're struggling with all of those things. And I think that the more that coaching is available to people, I feel like that this may become something that's more prominent in people's mind, of like, if I could have a coach as a parent, rather than only sending kids to the services that we think that kids need. And I've asked parents, you know, at what point did you feel like you needed help? And usually it does have to do with the stuff that's happening at home. Sometimes, you know, the struggle that people are having at school, that there's a whole team at school to deal with that. And so you may be struggling as a parent how to manage the IEPs and all of that kind of stuff. But for the most part, you kind of feel like, okay, I've got some things that are working there. But when things start to really fall apart at home, and that's sometimes where it starts, and then they're fine at school, and then they're having all these problems at home, and nobody at school believes you about what's happening, you know, or anybody else that's been around your child's like, no, they're always fine when they're with me, you know. So you start to feel like it's your problem. Maybe it's your fault. And I think that the kids are more than willing to push their behaviors on, you know, on that. And unfortunately some professionals are too. But I really think that the beauty of coaching is that you have someone to come alongside you in those struggles, and that you get the help that you need as those things are happening, or, as, during the week that they're happening, rather than, waiting. And then I think that it can be really ineffective when you're bringing those up in counseling with the child, and then we're trying to fix it from the back end. I think that the problems that the kids are having have to be dealt with in the moment, and I think that we can always get better and better at how we deal with those things. And that was something that I learned as a parent, was that it was never too late to turn it around, and that we can always make changes, and that as a family, we're kind of all working on our relationships and how we say things and how we do things. And I know that there were plenty of times that I wish that I would have had a parent coach. And there were times even when I was doing this work where I was like, gosh, I wish I could just, have me on the outside telling me what to say or do. And I think that there's just all benefit in that. And so, when you're looking at who needs a parent coach, there's all different kinds of parent coaches. I typically deal with kids that have really challenging behaviors, neurodivergent kids, and how to kind of help come alongside them so that they're not just learning the tools, but you're learning the tools to know how to help them through the different things that are going on. So if your child has a diagnosis, really, you probably need you need help. You need, and not just your own counselor, but you need somebody specifically trained to help with parent coaching. And I think that also if you're experiencing any violence and aggression, if you're thinking, I'm going to have to send this child to residential, if they've been already having problems where they've had to be outside of the home, either in the hospital or even had to go to detention because they've hurt somebody, those for sure, make sure that you get the help that you need for you too. And I think that this is a perfect time to have a parent coach when these things are happening in the home. It's so helpful to have somebody there coaching you through these things as they happen. And it's still going to be rough, and you're still going to have a lot of things to do. And I think that it's just really important that we look at this aspect of what the parents are going through when we have these really difficult children or neurodivergent kids. It's a whole new learning process in how to parent and how to deal with these things. And I've also found that a lot of times some parents are going through the same struggles because they were maybe had similar things when they were a kid, or maybe they have diagnosis, and so the whole family can be struggling. And so having a parent coach that has a holistic family view of it can be really helpful, along with whatever counseling that you need. It's not to take the place of, but it can certainly help. Some of the other things that I was thinking about was just the emotional support that you get from being in a group like we have, the Playroom. We do an online coaching group every week, and we're looking to expand it to be more times during the week so people can join in. And I just really encourage to start with something like that, because you can bring your issue or your question or your situation to the group, and I will personally coach you through it and talk about different ways to handle that. But you get to hear other people's coaching too, and so it's an added benefit. It's really, really powerful. Plus, if you're dealing with these difficulties and this level of difficulties, you may feel really isolated and feel alone. That may be part of what keeps you from reaching out for the help, is that you feel like, you feel maybe nervous or ashamed that you're going through this in your home and that you don't know anybody else that's going through it. So meeting these other parents that are having these real life struggles can be huge. And we don't just vent about the problems, we problem solve the problems. And if you need solutions, if you need help with getting the IEP set up or a 504, if you need help to know what to do when your kid does this, or what do you do if they're lying? What do you do if they're talking back? And then, specifically okay, this week, this is what happened, and this is how I how I did it, what could I do better? If you're in that mode of wanting to really learn and grow and change, that's the perfect time for you to have a parent coach. I just wanted to encourage you in that today, because I think that a lot of times people just feel so like they've tried everything, right? And in our society today, almost everything is directed towards the kids. The kids get put in counseling, the kids have CBRS, the kids have respite, they have all of these different things. I know that you may not know what some of those things are if you're not in my state, but they basically, the services can really cater towards the kids. And what I found is that not only the services, but our mindset is very child focused. And I really believe strongly that if we really cherish children, that we have to support their parents. And you are the ones that are in there every day raising these kids, knowing how hard it is, knowing the battles that you're facing. Most of the parents I work with are also depressed and anxious because of everything they've gone through. I've worked with a lot of parents that have PTSD from the things that have happened with their kids. So it's, I think it's just so critical to have somebody in your corner, not like I said, not just to vent to or to talk to about your own mental health issues, but to help you to know what you can do. And it's a process, right? It's not going to get better all at once. It is really truly like coaching, because there's things that you have to do and changes that you have to make. And it's kind of, we use the analogy of a bridge where you're kind of putting one stone at a time in place. We have a full program that we do where we can it's 12 weeks, and you get videos and coaching all through the 12 weeks. But if you want to just give it a try, I really just want to encourage you to join the Playroom. So you can find that on parentingchallengingkids.com. And in the Playroom, you're going to have that support, and you're going to get a taste of like what the coaching is. And from there, we can also problem solve if more is needed, especially if there's aggression and violence. And so I just, I hope that you'll take a look at that. I also have a book called Parenting Emotionally Distressed Kids, and it's about building a bridge to better behavior. It kind of gives an overview of the way that I believe that we can help these kids by working from home and building these bridges. And so, that's also a place to start. You can get that book on Amazon. But really, I really want to encourage people to give it a try. We have a special this summer called the Summer Sanity, and it's to help you with kind of all of the things that happen in the summer, to get you coached through that you could have a better summer than you've had before. But it's also set up to help you for a better school year, because you could get some coaching on getting things set up for the next year. A lot of families kind of leave the school year wondering if they should even just transfer to a different school. It's like can be so difficult, and we're getting towards the end of May, and this is one of the most challenging months of that I find with the kids that I work with. There's something in the air, and it's just a bunch of stuff. So we can, you get access to that. If you can't make it to those live sessions, you have access to the replay of it, and you have access to us. So go to the website, parentingchallengingkids.com, and take a look at what we have to offer, and then just really consider, like, do I need a coach? And what my question to you is, how bad does it have to get before you do look for a different resource? And for most parents, it means that they're at the end of their rope and they're going to have to send the child out to residential, but you don't have to wait that long. Like, we can make changes now that can make the years that are coming much easier. And even if your child's a teenager, it's like there's things that we can do to try to get them on a good path for their future too. So take a look at the resources that we have, and just be encouraged that you're not alone, and that parent coaching is a valuable tool, and not as well known as children's counseling or play therapy or, all of the other therapies that your kids might be a part of, but it'll make a big difference for you as a parent. So thank you.
Thanks for listening to The Parenting Bridge. Do you want to learn more about building a bridge to better behaviors? Pick up a copy of Dr. Michelle Alden's new book, Parenting Emotionally Distressed Kids. Or, for more resources, you can click on the link for Healthy Foundations. If you would like to leave a comment or a question for Dr. Alden, there's a link in the notes. We'll see you next time, and remember, things can always get better.